guys, welcome to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome to another review and preview show this week. This is the Premier Division. I'd like to welcome Cian Menton back. Cheers, Dino.
All right, bud.
And another legend. We've got two legends today. Philip Warner.
Jeez, I don't know about that, Keith, but yeah, no, thanks for having us on again, yeah.
And then there's just me, so we'll move on swiftly. Longford 1, Waterford 2. It finished at the City Collin Stadium even. Massive win this for Waterford, wasn't it? Martin and Malloy with the goals. McNally equalised actually a minute later after Waterford took the lead. It puts Waterford now 4 points clear of Longford, which is a big gap when you're at the bottom of the table, I think. And Waterford now beaten Longford twice this season. Cian, did you see this one, or what are your thoughts generally?
Yeah, I've seen this game and I was surprised there was a lot of quality in the game. I thought both teams actually played some nice stuff, in fairness, in the game, and it was a very enjoyable game to watch. I knew the score, so it didn't help, you know. When you kind of know the score, you're kind of waiting for something to happen, or you're waiting for them 2-3 goals in the game. So I was kind of more hoping they'd come than knowing, do you know what I mean? So I was looking at it, and it was that kind of rounder for me. But watching the game, I was impressed with parts of Longford's play. Seriously, I was really impressed with how they played and how fast they got the ball through towards. Just look, Waterford then as well, excellent. Just keeping the ball, the way they play, they just link up and play through the lines. Nothing too fancy, and you know, I really like the look of the new manager. You know, I think he's a manager that, if I was a player, I wouldn't mind playing under. He has that vibe about him, and it looks like everyone really took to him there. And in fairness, it looks like he has the club at his best interest as well. You know, it looks like everything he's talking about is talking about the club, and he's talking about how we had this mini pre-season, how we went and done this, how we've done that. You know, and I think fans buy into that as well. The fans are coming back now, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and it's brilliant. But, you know, I think at the start, to be honest, I was nearly looking at the Waterford appointment and saying, Jesus, this is another merry-go-round. But, you know, this looks like it's working so far. Look, it's very early days. You know, in 4 weeks' time, we can lose 4 on the bounce, and everyone's giving out about them again. But, you know, I just think at the minute, Waterford are going the right direction. And it's a little bit worrying there for Longford, you know?
Yeah, it is. Philip, I mean, in fairness to Mark Bircham, he's come in and changed the style. I was kind of giving out Kevin Sheedy's style. It's very long ball, and he wasn't getting the best out of some good midfield players. No surprise that Adam O'Reilly has stepped up in the last few weeks. He's playing really well in this system, is it?
Absolutely, Keith. And I suppose Cian's alluded to it there. Like, the transformation down in Waterford is remarkable. Like, it's pretty similar to the one we've seen at Derry. Towards the start of the season, where we thought it was looking pretty bleak, and all of a sudden they've gone on this brilliant run. And I know Waterford haven't went and started winning 5-6 games, but like, you can see the difference in performance. Like, I went back and looked at it as well, and I have to say I was very impressed by Longford. But when Waterford did get the ball down, they were able to play football, which was really, really good. That captain's name keeps eluding me. Malloy, is it?
Niall O'Keefe.
Oh, Niall O'Keefe, yeah, him. Yeah,
I'll tell you again next week, Philip.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was brilliant again, I thought, you know. Just seems like a really tidy footballer, and really enjoyed watching him, actually. But I think, Keith, we've kind of discussed Bertram, but I've kind of been reflecting on it a bit since it's happened and the last couple of results. And as Keno said about the little pre-season and all, I think this appointment was made 4 or 5 months ago, towards the start of the season, after 2 or 3 games. And we alluded to the owner that's come in now. He had 30% at the start of the season. I think this kind of takeover has, as we've discussed previously, was in the making, and I think he kind of wanted Bertram in from the minute he found out he was going to be taking over the club. So I'd say that's kind of something to do with it as well. He's had a bit of time to prepare it, and I think that kind of may have. I think Sheedy may have found out, and that might have alluded to their results towards the end of it. Like, you know, he just didn't seem interested. He wasn't fielding a bench, like, do you know what I mean? Saying he was protecting players and what have you, but I think he just didn't care at that stage. So, overall, you have to say Waterford were brilliant, but you'd have to be really, really concerned for Longford at this stage now, because, again, dropping points to teams like Waterford in and around them is only going to be a nightmare for them.
Yeah, it could be an issue, actually, for Waterford. Cian just came into my head there that Adam O'Reilly's actually due to go back to Preston in a week or something like that. So that's difficult. It doesn't look like he's going to be kept on either. I know, in fairness to Waterford, it looks like they can bring in 3 or 4 players. So obviously bringing in the 3 or 4 players is going to be crucial, whoever they are, like, aren't they?
Yeah, look, there's going to be a lot of ins and outs throughout the league. I think, like we've seen talk of strikers coming, and we've seen talks of midfielders coming in, and all throughout the league, not only in Waterford. Like, so I think there's going to be a lot of moving. Maybe this year more so than any other year. But it's going to be exciting to see who he brings in. Obviously, not one of these players are his players or anyone that he did bring in. So it'd be interesting to see if he brings in 2 or 3 even. Look, I'm not a big fan of loan signings, but the money situation that we're in at the minute, with everything that happened over the last year or so, it's the way to go at the minute. League of Ireland is season to season, and anyway. So, you're not dependent on, obviously the likes of Waterford are dependent on loan signings a lot. Probably Pats as well are dependent on loan signings. Probably the only 2 really that are possibly dependent on these players. And obviously you look at Derry and the main player Patchen and stuff. But I just think it's the way to go in the way we are at the minute. But I'm excited to see who he brings in now, because I'd say he might have a couple of gems under his hat.
Yeah, the 6-1 sign's actually very difficult, to be fair. But finished Derry 1, Sligo 1 to Brandywell. 3 games without a win for Sligo. Gibson gave them a lead after 55 minutes. And Boyce, he's got a few goals this season, hasn't he? He scored after 85 minutes. Philip, thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I suppose I didn't watch it all, Keith, but I did look back on highlights online, and I had to say it looked a very, very entertaining game from the chances that were there. Overall, I thought a draw was a fair result on the chances that I've seen. The commentary as well was saying that it was towards the end. He said it was a very even game, and to be honest with you, I think that the result may have reflected what I seen. From what I seen, I didn't think any team deserved to go and win the game, but overall, I thought it was probably a good result for both sides. Like, I know that sounds silly, but Sligo have just hit that little stump in the road that we discussed previously as well. And look, Derry going and taking points off a club that's above them in the league, so they'll probably fancy that they might have won the game with how they've been throughout the past couple of weeks. But saying that, I think a point is a fair reflection as to where they've been this season and where they've got to. So, yeah, I think a 1-1 result was a fair result, and I suppose Sligo will be just hoping to get their injured players back now as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, Keane. It's not as if Sligo are missing loads of players through injury, but you lose players like Gary Buckley and other players like that, and it just shows a player or two that quality can make a serious difference.
Yeah, look, it's not been the results Sligo would have hoped for coming back after the break. They were a uniform team before the break, and they were the team to beat. Look, they went into the break top of the table. It just shows you how quickly things change. Like 3 weeks' time, Pats could be played fourth. That's just the way the league is. But you hit a stump. You have 3 games in a week, and everything changes in 1 week in the season. So, things change so quickly. I wouldn't be too down if I was Sligo. Missing big players like Gary Buckley and stuff. We've seen that. Rovers look like they're hitting a stump as well. I think people would feel that Pats have kind of come out of that stump. And, now a few other teams are hitting it. So, you're going to hit it. You're going to have times of the season when you're going to be like that. Everyone's the same. Nobody in this league is unbeatable. And it's that makes it. But, like, Sligo could be back up there in 2 or 3 weeks. They'll be back competing again. I've no doubt. Like, and
they're only 2 points behind, despite all that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and people are saying that they're not playing great. And I see, like, I'm like, I know a lot of Sligo fans and stuff, but I'm looking at the Sligo social media, and like, they lose a game, and like, people are like, they're going mad. And I'm saying to myself, like, how in the name of Jesus can he be given out? Like,
2 weeks ago, they were going to win the league for sure.
Exactly, yeah. So, I wouldn't be, look, being honest, there's probably obviously going to have a couple of fans that aren't going to be happy and stuff like that, and they're always going to be giving out. I'm not saying the majority of Sligo fans are. I'd say they're all delighted where they are in the table.
Yeah.
But, I sense that a club going places too much too soon for me. to win the league this year, and possibly the same with Pats. You put Pats in that bracket as well. I think it's too much too soon. But you know, you're looking at the way they play, and you know they didn't look. It's an awful pitch up there. I know that, but they didn't play well, and they get out with a point. And you know I know they conceded later on. You'd be disappointed with that. But look, a point in the Brandywell is always a good point. And I was looking at Derry as well, and you know they weren't bad either. Without being great, both teams were kind of bang average, and I think a draw, like you said, a draw is probably a fair result on the game. I don't think Sligo done enough to win it. I don't think Derry deserve to win it either. So, you know, both teams get away with a point. Derry are still on that hunt for Europe. You know, and there's a busy period coming up now with European football as well. So I think Sligo will be disappointed that they're not picking up points before they get into this busy schedule.
Yeah, exactly. Finished Drogheda United nailed Dundalk 1 in the first big derby tonight, the loud derby Duffy after 35 minutes. I was at this one, and to be honest with you, I enjoyed the fans more in this game than the actual match, because it wasn't a match filled with a lot of opportunities. In fairness, it's fair to say. When Dundalk got the goal, it's something to hang on to. Drogheda, for me, never really looked like scoring in the game as such, and Dundalk really didn't look like scoring a second once they scored the first. Yeah. Dundalk, though, it was more workmanlike from Dundalk, but we've seen that with them against Pats in a way a few weeks ago, and they kind of dropped again, so I'm still suspicious about them. I'm not convinced by them, but they'd be delighted to win at United Park. Drogheda would be disappointed after the defeat to Bowes. The effort was fine in the game, just they lacked a bit of quality, I have to say, in the night, but Dundalk did stop them centrally, a bit like they did with Pats a few weeks ago as well. They really blocked up the middle, and Drogheda tried to get it wide and get crosses in, but Nadastat is a big man and he's a magnet, to be fair. He just heads everything away. It was very, very difficult. Philip, what did you make of this?
Yeah, I watched the back, Keith, and I have to agree with you. You hit the nail on the head there with everything. I think it was a very, very cagey game. Definitely not one of the more entertaining games this season, that's for sure. You know, but a derby can do that, you know, and I have to say, as cagey as it was, and although Dundalk got the point, I probably thought a draw might have been a fair reflection on the game. It wasn't great, as I said. Look, Drogheda 2 losses on the bounce now, and I know it was only a close run thing with Dundalk, but I think they'll be pretty disappointed now. I think this is probably the worst week of their season that they've had so far with the results. More in the manner of the Bows one, I suppose, as well. But look, I suppose you need to look at it on the other side and see where they've come from this year. Like, if you'd have said that they'd be here this part of the season, everyone would have laughed at you and said, what are you talking about? Like, you know, and that's only credit to them. And yeah, overall, not too much else to comment on the game. I thought it was pretty poor. But look, any derby is a good game to watch, and Dundalk won 1-0. But I suppose there's other things that are happening this week with Dundalk, especially with Shields looking like he's gone, and also big things to talk about up there. So yeah, I suppose they'll be looking to keep the momentum going, but with the likes of Shields leaving now, I suppose it's a big miss for them.
Yeah, what do you make of all that generally, Keane? So we haven't really got your thoughts on it.
Yeah, look, fairness to him, he owes Dundalk and the league nothing. This is an opportunity for him to go and win more trophies up the north and add to his collection.
He lives up there, by the way, as well.
Yeah, he only lives 20 minutes away. So, you know, I'm delighted for him. I think he's, like, look, we hate playing against him, like, you know, but he's an absolute, I say that's the best compliment we can give him. He's absolutely fantastic. He loves that club, Dundalk. He was there when he was hardly getting paid. I wouldn't even say he was getting paid. He was nearly paying to play for Dundalk at one stage, I would say. You know, and to see him come through that and play in all these teams and play week in, week out under all these managers, it says an awful lot about a player. And, you know, he wasn't pretty. He wasn't one of these players, let's say, like a Robbie Benson was, or a Ronan Finn, or a Stephen O'Donnell was for Dundalk. He was the dirty player. He was just on the ground breaking up.
Very intelligent footballer, though, isn't he?
Absolutely excellent he was. And I have to be honest, I thought he was excellent at the game on the weekend.
He was one of the best games himself, or best players on the pitch, yeah.
And he was excellent when I seen him against Pats as well a few weeks ago. Like, happy he was playing centre half that day, and he was fantastic. Nothing's getting by him, and look, credit where it's due. He's been what a man to have in the league. I'm disappointed that he's gone up the north and he's not gone to another club in the league, because I like him a lot. So I'd be disappointed with that, but you can't take anything away from him. I think the appointment of Vinnie Peart is a good appointment, in my opinion. I said it all along. They need someone that understands the club, that understands the players, that understands everything, and he understands the lot. He's been there, done it. He was a penalty kick away from winning the double, and 6 months later he's
actually the treble.
The treble, sorry, yeah. Well, that's only a Mickey Mouse Cup of fairness, but he was literally kicking a ball, a penalty kick away from winning it. So it just shows you, and I do think they've really. It says a lot about a club when they go back for a manager. I think they realise what he lost when he left. Mm-hmm. I think he had to leave at the time he did, but he's coming back now, and I think this time he knows what to expect. He knows he's had to be sitting down with the board. He knows what they want. I don't know whether they want the phone call and the dugout. I don't know what they want, but Vinny knows what they want, and I think that's important. He knows his role. I think Jim knows his role. You see all this in the media, people giving out saying he doesn't get on with him, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. They're not going to appoint him if he doesn't get on with the players. Simple as, You're going to sit down, you're going to talk to your senior players. And I think the last 2 team selections says it all for me. The senior players that they're talking about that Vinnie Peart doesn't like, all of a sudden is all playing in the games. So, that says an awful lot for me as a person look from the outside looking in. But I just think it's a massive appointment. In terms of the game, possibly the worst game of the week, in my opinion, looking at it. But, it's still Dundalk and Drogheda. It's still exciting. You're still there hoping something's going to happen, and you always have that with the players on the pitch from both sides. I was disappointed, and I've been as one of his biggest fans this year in Gary Deegan. I just don't think that's credit to Dundalk as well, but I don't think he controlled the game as much as he liked. And I think that's credit to Dundalk. I think they got a spot on there. But that's what I mean about knowing the team, knowing the opposition. I think that's something that Filippo didn't have. That's something that, people didn't have in the league. So it's great to see that we had that, we done it. And I'm delighted that Dundalk got the win for Vinny more so than anything. Like I said, though, poor game. Both sides were really. It wasn't a great game to watch. There was nothing to really talk about on the game. The fans back looked brilliant, absolutely fantastic, and the lads even behind made a better atmosphere than the lads in the ground. So it's
hilarious. I have to say, they had some good ones. I have to say that I can't repeat here, but check out the Matchday vlog, guys. You might find some of it there.
Yeah, look, it's fantastic, and that's what we want. That's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Drogheda, like you said, bite your hand off of the position that they're in now, and cup run coming up. You have a lot of teams now coming into Europe. A lot of games going to be played. You have the FAI Cup. You have an awful lot of football left. So Drogheda won't be, they won't be settling for that. I know they lost the last 3 or whatever, and that's all right. Coming into it now, next week start again. Like I says, it's all about momentum in this league. When you lose a game, you can't see yourself winning. When you win a game, you can't see yourself losing, and that's the way it is. You can get caught in a rut. You can get within the space of a week, you're 9 points off your rivals where you are. So there's a lot to play for Drogheda, a lot of positives. But I just thought Dundalk marshalled them really well. They were tracking James Brown's runs. They were tracking everything. They had everything down to a T, and look, that's credit to Vinny.
Absolutely. Finished St. Patrick's Athletic 4, Finn Harps 1. I watched this back actually at night when I came home after Drogheda didn't know the score. Philip, we'll go to you anyway. Obviously, Pats were in a bit of a rush. Now they've won 3 in a row. They're actually currently top of the league ahead of your Shamrock Rovers in goal difference. This is an interesting game actually. The first half, Finn Harps I thought were quite decent actually, but when Pats scored Tyrone and Coughlin, which was a brilliant strike, I thought Pats completely took over in this match. I thought they were excellent in the second half. Finn Harps can count themselves a bit unlucky. It looked like, what's his name? Olabi, is it? Olabi?
Yeah.
Looks like he was taken down by Yaris. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but go on, Philip.
Yeah, well, look, lads, I suppose before I say it, I hope your heads don't blow up when I say this. I personally think at this current moment of time, it's chopped and changed a bit. But at this current moment in time, I think Pats look like they're going to win the league. Now, that's just my personal opinion, and people will beg to differ. But I just can't see. Yeah, I suppose, for yourselves. I just think they were fantastic, you know. And as you said, Finn Harps were really, really good in the first half. But as soon as Pats got the goal, they looked like a different animal altogether. It actually, without being too, without blowing smoke up their arse, they actually reminded me of Dundalk 3 or 4 years ago, where they just swept teams aside, you know. And as you said, Coughlin got the goal, but I thought overall, before even that, I just thought he was the best player for Pats on the pitch. He just seemed to do everything right. I think he lost the ball once or twice, but anything that he seemed to do before that and after that, he was just fantastic. And I have to say, he's kind of been on and off this season. He's been one of Pat's best players, but there's been games where he just hasn't been at it. And I think against Harps, he was just bang on. I thought everything about him was brilliant. And I suppose you'd be looking for more consistency. I suppose after the second goal went in for Pats, the game was done. Like, you know, Harps just didn't look anything at all. Like they were nearly disinterested in it. And I suppose, I don't know whether that was what happened in the derby. They were feeling sorry for themselves. As I've said again, feeling sorry for yourselves. Teams have done that a lot this season. And just I suppose completely it just didn't look like an Ollie Hogan team after the second goal went in, just completely disinterested. I think they're kind of just saying, right, that's it, we're done. There's no way we're getting back into it.
I think so, Phil, they run out of steam a little bit, because we talked about it on Friday how, you know, the 2 games, so the Pats the 2 home games, and Finn Harps did have to travel down. Like, they will seem all right back, so they were missing a few players for injury that as well. So I think it was a combination of them running out of steam a bit and Pats just taking the game with a scuff of the neck, to be honest. Yeah.
I suppose the quality just shone through, Keith, as well. That's the other side to it, I suppose, without being too critical of Finn Harps, you know, with the budget they have, the players they have. But look, I suppose they can turn around to themselves and take some sort of positive out of it, and how well they did play in the first half, you know. When they did get the chance, it didn't last too long, but when they knocked the ball about, they were decent to watch, you know. But again, as I said, Pat's just brilliant, and you can't take that away from them. And as I said, for me, at this current moment in time, with Rovers faulting and Sligo seeming to go through a bit of a slop as well, it seems like Pat's our favourite for the league, in my opinion.
Ian.
Hang on, I need to compose myself a little bit.
That's why I just said Keane and passed it on as well.
Look, massive result, massive week for Pats. You know, that's 9 points. And then, look, we can go again if we win on Friday. Hopefully, that's 12. It's going to be a tough one. But, you know, I think there's a lot of character on this Pats team. Look, I'll go back to Longford game the week before, like, and I was worried when Longford scored. Like, Pats of old would have crumbled and probably lost that game in the end, you know. And I think we've shown some character to get ourselves back in and run away from that game. Sligo, we kind of had it all our own way, in my opinion. I didn't think Sligo laid a glove on us. But, you know, Finn Harps, we didn't have it all our own way again. Finn Harps were, for me, the better side in the first half.
I actually thought Finn Harps' performance was a bit better than Sligo's, wasn't it?
Yeah, much better. The way they played, posh shots were causing us major trouble. The 2 really good posh shots. The penalty decision, if I was the referee and that happened, I was standing in the comeback and I was saying that's a penalty all day. That's a penalty. Oh, and the ref hesitated for a minute as well. Now, looking back on it, he did get a nick on the ball. But it was, you know, it kind of took the player as well. So it's a 50-50 one. But in real time, being honest with you, I thought it was a penalty.
I'll be honest, I would have given it as a penalty personally, I have to say.
We've seen referees like the famous one, Anthony Buttimer, like he'd pull out cards, no problem to him. Red cards, that was his favourite. And he before the foul's even taken, he used the red card out of his pocket.
He had 2 red cards in his pocket, though. He didn't have any yellows. That was the problem.
Yeah. But no, I thought Pats needed that goal before half-time. If we went in there at 0-0 at half-time, I think we'd find it really hard to break this Finn Harps team down, because they were the much better side in the first half, I think. We were very sloppy. We got a better look. Coughlin just spun, and what a strike. That was, nobody was stopping that. I think the crossbar is still shaking. Like, he just drilled it. I think as well that people need to realise as well, it's tough. Stephen O'Donnell, look, it's probably people say it's his own fault, but he's been suspended. And, you know, he's been watching the games up from upstairs, and he can't really, you can't get involved. You know, he's not in the dressing room. He's not doing anything.
Maybe he should stay there since he's working.
So
we've 10 minutes, but go on, yeah.
So it's really tough, you know, and I think it's tough on people like that, like, to be without their manager and to win the games in the manner we did. Like, second half, it was toilet mode. We were just ripping the piss out of them at some stages in the game, like with Alfie Lewis and Forrester and Bermo, and then just that pass at the end, like,
yeah,
you know, that sums everything up about Pats in the last couple of, probably this season. Them moments of quality. Pats we haven't really battered many teams, but we've had that moment or two in games of quality like that Ronan Coughlin turn and strike going up. You know, we've had these moments that we stepped up and standing up and being counted for and put the ball in the back of the net when we weren't getting it all our own way. And I think Pats of old would be that team where if it wasn't going our own way, we'd throw a strop, or we'd be moaning more so than anything, or hoping for a referee decision. But I think the culture's changed in the club now. I think Stephen has that winning mentality. You look at the players of Mountney, you look at the players of Paddy Barrett, you know, all these players that have won things, Forrester, Bermo, the list goes on, like, and you're saying we're in a great position. If anyone told me we're going to be in this position at the halfway point, I think I would have had a heart attack probably at the start of the season, because many people were tipping us for relegation. But, you know, I do think we're going nicely, but we're nowhere near where, like, I still think this Pats team can go up a gear or two, and I'm being honest with you with that. I don't think we've seen the best Pats team this year so far.
Bohemians 1, Shamrock Rovers 0, and unfortunately for Philip, I was correct. Georgie Kelly, that man again in 57 minutes. Philip, your thoughts on the game? Shamrock Rovers obviously level with Pats in second. Bows are 7 behind, by the way. Not that far behind, are they now?
Hang on 2 seconds. Just get me popcorn.
Go for it.
Oh, well,
I have mine here as well.
I'll tell you one thing, right? I'll be honest with you. I felt Bowes overall on the night morally lost, because that fella Kevin on co-commentary, Jesus Christ, he was an absolute Looney Tune, and he made a show of himself, and he made a show of the club, talking about acid trips and what have you. I have to say, he drove me up the wall even listening to him. But I just thought he just completely misconducted himself for a Bowes perspective, you know, because Bowes aren't like that in terms of what their fans are like. I just thought he was a complete muppet. But the game itself, I suppose I said it on social media, Keith, I don't think either team done enough to win the game. I thought Bowes were better on the ball, but saying that they had one shot, like practically one shot in the game, and it was a bit of quality that won a derby. And from a neutral perspective, I never tend to, but I always try to look at it with a neutral perspective of Bowes and Rovers when you look back on the game, because I've watched it back, and I just think that bit of magic won the game for Bowes, and I don't think Bowes really deserved to win the game from that. Just, you know, I just thought maybe Rovers would probably just weren't at it on the night, and I don't think they'd done enough to win the game either, in my opinion, you know. So you kind of have to tip your hat on the night and say that Bowes, with that bit of quality, deserved to win the game, and that was it. It wasn't their general play. It was just that little bit of quality from Kelly that won them the game. And look, obviously bitterly disappointed, you know, and even now it's still haunting even talking about it. But I suppose I don't see Bowes challenging for Europe if Kelly gets injured, as I've said that as well. And to be honest with you, Talbot made a couple of really, really good saves, but saying that Rovers just didn't look anything like they were going to trouble the goalkeeper in the box, at least. It was a couple of pot shots that had him troubled, but Rovers didn't create enough. And as I said, disappointed. And you could talk about this game all night, but I suppose it's as simple as that. Bows won the match, and that was it. That's all you can really say about it, because it was a poor game, in my opinion.
What do you think is Rovers' biggest issue at the moment? Is it missing chances or lack of creativity, Philip, in your opinion?
It's lack of creativity, Keith. And I'll be honest with you, I think we're screaming for Richie Towell now to get involved. I think McCann has been a flop. I think Gary O'Neill hasn't been. Gary O'Neill hasn't been anywhere near his usual standards.
Is that because though he's missing Jack Byrne and McInniff and it gelled well, maybe?
No, I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think he's shown his quality in when he was with UCD, and he's come to Rovers, and he did he had a fantastic year, and a year and a bit until we're up to this point now in the season. But since the start of the league this year, I don't think he's been anywhere near it, and there's been external factors that have been affected him, in my opinion, personally. So you can't go too hard on him.
Okay.
But Ronan Finn, again, not good enough. He's Dylan Watts has been fantastic when he has been playing. But again, he's been hit by an injury, and he's nearly there. So we're screaming for him to get back as well. But I think, Keith, we've discussed this previously. Overall, Rovers midfield hasn't been anywhere near it, and I just can't see it changing unless we get Towell in there, because it just lacks creativity. And out wide as well, we haven't been anywhere near good enough. And I think Bradley needs to recognise that we need a winger in the window, because Aaron Green is not a left winger. He has completely changed his style of play. He used to play there for Sligo, but he's changed over the years, and he's not that type of player anymore. Gaffney, he's got his couple of goals this season, but he just doesn't do it for me. I don't think he's creative enough. I just think he's kind of that player that wants to kind of get rough with you and run at players. He can't really beat players with skill. He just has pure muscle and strength. And don't get me wrong, that works for some teams, but I just don't think for this Rover side and how we want to play football, it just doesn't work. Defensively, Keith, we haven't been that bad, I don't think we've been that bad. We've conceded a couple of sloppy goals, but overall, I thought we've been done quite well. For the goal, I suppose, as you said, it's just a complete bit of fantastic quality, and you can't take that away from Kelly, because he's on fire at the moment, the man of the moment. And for my sake, I hope he slowly but surely runs out of goals. But for a neutral perspective, it's great to see someone doing so well in the league. And I suppose he's only promoting the league with the goals he's scoring, because they're all top quality goals that you love to see from any team in the league. But I suppose it hurts a little bit more when it's a big Dublin derby and it's against your bitter rivals. So yeah, Rovers, look, the position that we're in is fantastic. It doesn't reflect how we've been this year though. And that's why I personally think that Pats are favourites for the league. I've said it once, I'll say it again.
Ian, thoughts on Bohemians? Great win for them. Do you see them getting into this European race, or maybe even title race?
Title race, no. I don't think they were ever in a title race for me now, even at the start of the season. Definitely do think they're in the hunt for Europe. There's no question about it. I pipped them ahead of Derry at the minute and all, getting Europe. Look, that was a massive win the weekend. Look, they're winning games. At the start of the season, they were losing games and playing great. And now they're probably not playing as good and winning games. And I thought they were, when I say that, I know everyone's going to be saying they beat Drogheda 5-0 and stuff. I get that. But I mean, in general, they haven't been as free flowing as they probably were at the start of the season. I think the biggest thing for me was the clean sheet. And, the biggest thing for me the weekend was that clean sheet. If Rovers get that goal in the last minute again, imagine the pressure that Bowes defence and Talbot is on, knowing that the last 10 minutes Bowes or Rovers are going to come at them. I don't think it was backs to the wall either. I thought they were very comfortable, but that's credit to Bowes. They were brave, and we don't see that an awful lot. They were still pressing, they were still pushing for that second goal, which I don't think it was never going to come. Rovers for me, Talbot made a couple of saves, but they weren't at it. And I'm trying to even think back at a game this season that they were at it, and I can't even.
Hasn't been one. Hasn't been one.
I can't even think of one that they were in. They won it well. They've been lucky in terms of last minute goals. They've been you take three of them, 3 last minute goals. They're probably about 7 or 8 in the season. I'd say 9 even now at this stage.
Easily 7 or 8, yeah.
But you take them 4 points they won against Pats. You take that away from them, only them 4 points, and you say to yourself, Jesus, look where they are now. Look where they would have been. So they scored at the right times in games, of course, like getting last minute goals, and like that one against Longford was a huge one for me. I think looking at the season, it's the last one against Drogheda. You're looking at these important moments, but if these go on to win the league and put a run together, which they're well capable of, you'd be looking back on these things and you'd be saying, like, I think everyone, including myself, probably feared Rovers a little bit after last season. But I think this year they haven't done it yet. We're saying they're going to click into gears only a matter of time. We're halfway through the season now. They're going to be coming into Champions League football. Then they've that Europa Conference thing as well. So there's an awful lot of football here. And I think a lot of Rovers fans are looking forward to seeing Richie Towell coming back. And I think it's badly needed. But if you're depending on Richie Towell to come in and make a difference straight away,
yeah.
I think that's alarm bells ringing for me. What a player Richie Towell is. And we all know what he can do. And we all should be excited that he's coming. But Richie isn't coming into this Shamrock Rovers side that's playing well. It's not like even when Jack Bourne came, and even when like Aaron McInnes was probably came and it kind of changed when he was coming. But before even Jack Bourne came into a team that was building that momentum, and he was adding to that quality. I think Richie Towell is coming in, it's nearly starting fresh, if you know what I mean. With the momentum side of it, that they have to go again. He's not coming into a seamless team that's winning every week and they're playing lovely football. He's coming into a team now where he's expected to make the difference, not add to the quality. So that brings its own pressures, and wearing the Shamrock Rovers jersey out on the pitch brings a pressure of its own as well. It's a different weight than any other jersey in the league. I mean, everyone knows that. You're scrutinised a lot more as Shamrock Rovers than any other team in the country. And I think everyone knows that. And the players, in fairness to them, have dealt with it. We see it a lot, especially against Bowes. Bowes know the buttons to press. And now, in fairness, they do know the buttons to press. And you've seen the pictures there, the Graham Book and all going for your man, the fan. You see stuff like that, but I think there are things that isn't good. And I don't think that has been Shamrock Rovers for a couple of years. So I think the frustration is boiling over. And in little things like that, you can see it. Like, last year or the year before, if a Bowes fan done that or said something, you'd nearly laugh at them. Do you know what I mean? Players would nearly laugh at them. So I think the frustration is boiling over. They're obviously not happy. But, they're still there. And that's the thing. They're still there. They're a game away from being top. They're a point away from being top. And, if you're having a so-called bad season and we are in the table, it's not bad in terms of that. So I wouldn't be too down about it. I do think they're going to kick on, and I do think they need to add to the squad. Like you said, a winger for me is possibly the most important. We've heard all this rumour about Anthony Stokes and stuff like that coming. I think that's going to be an absolute disaster.
Yep.
You don't need a winger. You don't need another striker. You have Arden Green and Gaffney there.
About his temperament either, though. Personally.
No, but I'm saying, you need a winger coming in. You don't need to be spending he's not going to come cheap either. So you're not. I personally think they need to be looking for a decent winger. And there is wingers in the league, and Shamrock Rovers have the few bob if they want to spend it. I do think defensively they're okay. In my opinion, they could do with another decent midfielder. because I don't think McCann's doing it at all. And it's going to be very hard for Richie Towell to go in there with a very aging Rowan Finn as well. Now, I'm saying aging Rowan Finn, but he's, in fairness to him, he's fit as a fiddle. He's probably as fit as most 25-year-olds in the league. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, he doesn't have that long left. So if you need to build, like Arden McAneff and Jack Bourne, and they were the right age, you could build your team around them. I think you can build your team around Richie Towell for a couple of years, no question about it. But you need to have someone beside him that's going to be his partner for another 2 years, in my opinion. And I don't think McCann or Finn is going to do that job. So, they've a lot to do. I think this is July is a big month for them in terms of Europe and stuff like that. But as well, transfer-wise, I think they need to add a winger. In my opinion, a winger. I think they're sorted a winger, and I don't think they're going to sign a midfielder with Richie Towell coming in. But if I had my way, it'd be a winger and a midfielder.
Interesting to see. Lads, we'll get on to Friday night's games, and I'll get predictions off you for these. Shamrock Rovers take on Drogheda United. Philip, how are you seeing that?
I suppose it's the best time to get Drogheda, without a doubt. I think it's just those two results that they've had. If you'd have got them just before the break, I'd have been a bit more concerned, I still am concerned, don't get me wrong, but I suppose Tallaght Stadium, fans back again. I think now, as you said about the whole Bourke incident and players being frustrated, I think now is going to be where we get this reaction, and I know we keep saying they're going to kick into gear. I genuinely believe that this is going to be the game. I don't think they'll go and put 5 past them. I really don't, but I think it will be an more dominant performance, Drogheda just starting to look leggy, in my opinion. And I suppose that kind of reaction that Rovers need, I think it's just a perfect opportunity to go and do a job on these now. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not optimistic about the whole situation at this current stage with what's happened over the past week and the past couple of weeks, actually, with results, but the quality should be just enough to get us over the line. So I'm going to say Rovers 2-0.
We go Rovers 2-1. What do you think, Ian?
I'm going to go for a draw, and on the back of how organised Drogheda can be. I know balls cut them open. We all get that. Happens in games. But in general, Drogheda are very, very hard to beat. And they have this big pitch is going to suit them, in my opinion, with the likes of James Brown. He's obviously that target man. Everything goes through him. I think James Brown and Gary Deegan need to have a good game if Drogheda getting anything out of this. And I just fancy them to nick a draw. I don't think they'll win it. But, I think they're in a great position. I know they've lost. But I know they've lost a couple, but they're in a great position here where every single bit of pressure is on Shamrock Rovers here. And Rovers are in a lose-lose situation. If Rovers win this 1-0, people are still giving out about them. If Rovers draw this, they're still going to be giving out about them. If Rovers lose it, they're still going to be giving out about them. So I think for someone to actually turn around and clap them, let's say, Rovers need to thump them. And that's the problem. I don't think Rovers are good enough to thump them. But I just fancy the pressure might be a little bit too much. And I'm going to go for a draw.
Finn Harps and Longford, Philip.
Oh, big game. Big game for Longford, I suppose if they're catching Finn Harps anytime, I suppose the same with Rovers and Drogheda. I think Finn Harps are coming into this game at the worst possible time, It's gas, Finn Harps are 8. We didn't see that a few weeks ago. I was like, geez. I looked at the table today and I was like, what is going on? The results just haven't went their way. They've lost a couple of games and they've been unlucky in others as well. So, but as I say, football doesn't do feelings, and you're 8th on the table. You have to accept it. There is a bit of a gap there, don't get me wrong. But Longford will see this as an opportunity to get back closer to Waterford and another chance to get closer to Finn Harps, like, because at the end of the day they do get result. It does take them there, and I suppose there's no more motivation that needed than saying you need to stay in this division, and that enough should be enough to motivate any team. And I suppose if they get beat now and Waterford get another result, you think that ship is about to sink. Like, do you know what I mean? I know it's changed a lot this year at the bottom with Derry and Waterford as well, even though they're still down there. But at the minute, it's screaming Longford are going down. I don't know if you agree with me, but it just doesn't look like they have enough. But again, football's a strange game. Harps will be looking to sort themselves out, just got steamrolled by a very, very good St. Patrick's Athletic squad during the night, as we discussed previously. So I suppose they'll be looking at that and saying, right, lads, we need to get a performance in here and get a result. So I'm going to say Finn Harps are going to win this 1-0, very, very tight and cagey game. And that man again, Adam Foley, will score the goal.
I'm going to go for Longford to win 1-0. Finn Harps missing a few players for this, including Mark Coyle, by the way. He's going to be suspended. They're definitely missing a few other players as well. So I think Longford might get a win here, 1-0, Keane.
Yeah, big game down the bottom. Finn Harps win it. They open that gap again, and, they need to, cause they're going to come into busy schedules now, like I keep saying. But I keep saying it because it's so relevant in the league. These busy schedules were in, like you're saying there, like before the break or whatever, Pats were gone. Now we're top of the table. Within a week you play three games or 4 games, 5 games in 2 weeks or whatever it is. And they get literally, you just shoot up the table or you shoot down the table. So it's so important. Finn Harps should be winning this. I'm going to go for a draw here. I can't see them. I can't see them winning it. I can't see Longford winning it. But I think there'll be a goal or 2. So I'll go 1-1.
One of us is going to be right. Waterford and St. Patrick's Athletic, Philip.
I genuinely, I don't know what to think about this game, to be honest with you. I looked at it and I thought, you know what, Pat's done fantastic, but Waterford are coming off a big result, and as you said, Keith, before about that Waterford side, and I keep thinking about it every time you say it, a young side that has got a result, that tends to be a massive thing in the club. And Waterford, as Keano said previously, they're doing fantastic with what they've got at the minute. They just seem to be firing on all cylinders. And I know they've got a couple of results, and some results haven't went their way as well since Bertram's come in, but they seem more of a squad now. So I think it's the worst time for Pats to get Waterford. But saying that, I just think Pats are going to have a bit too much here for them, Just think that experience, the quality. Benson is coming back into form, and, Forrester as well. I just think that Pats are going to just do this. I don't think they're going to steamroll them, but I do think it will be a comfortable result for Pats. So if I'm going to give you a score, I think it's going to be 2-0, to be honest with you. I think they'll just have that little bit of quality.
I think this fixture would have been easier for Pats a month ago, but that said, Pats are playing better now than they were a month ago. So for that reason, I think Pats might nick it 2-1. Keane?
Yeah, it's going to be... I'm a Pats fan, but it's going to be possibly the toughest game to predict, I think, this weekend. In terms of the way both sides are. Look, both sides are at the different ends of the table, but on form, you wouldn't think that. And anyone that watches Waterford, I think the first goal is important. I think if Waterford get the first goal in this game, you'd nearly tip them. I'm being honest with you, you'd nearly tip them. But if Pats get the first goal, I think there might be 2 or 3 here for them. I just think the quality that Pats bring off the bench in terms of Dara Bones and Ben McCormick, I think anyone that watches the games, you just need to admire these young boys because they are excellent. And
Burns arguably is pushing for a start, Keane, arguably, isn't he?
Yeah, Dara will probably start over Billy this week.
Maybe,
I don't know. But if you're bringing Billy King off the bench, you're doing something right as well. I think Alfie Lewis and Forrester, I think absolutely superb in the middle with Benson. I think they have a great balance about them. So, I'm going to say Pats to win it, but I'm not as confident as you used to. I'll be honest, I'm really not.
That's really strange. You're not as confident as me with a Pats result. Usually I'm the one who isn't as confident.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough game.
Yeah.
Game of the weekend, in my opinion, lads. So if you don't watch it live, lads, make sure you go back and check it out because it's going to be brilliant. Obviously, you are going to watch it, but just this is for the listeners. Make sure you go back and have a look at it because it should be a really good game. Saying that'll be 0-0.
Could be a good 0-0. The last game on Friday now is Dundalk and Derry. How do you see this one, Philip? Dundalk can leapfrog Derry in the table with a win, by the way.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I just think Derry are doing very, very well at the moment, you know. But saying that, I don't think Patchin's going to be able to play with the parent club. I'm not sure. I could be wrong.
No, that's true. Usually, that's a fair point as well. Yeah.
I was just looking at it beforehand. I was like, yeah, geez, actually, that might be a problem for them. A lot of their goals have come from him, you know, and I don't know. Like, one minute I'm thinking Derry, and the next minute I'm thinking Dundalk, you know. But saying that, big result for Dundalk during the week in the derby, and look, you go and expect them to get a result against the likes of Waterford and Longford, and they failed to do so. So, it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to call a draw, and I just think Dundalk's stop-start season is going to keep going, and I think they're not going to be able to get a result here. Just with how well Derry have been defensively over the past couple of weeks, I think they've been excellent. They've got that young lad, though, the 22-year-old we spoke about before. What's his name? Conal, is it? No, I can't think of him. He's been linked with Salford.
Oh, sorry, Owen Toll.
Toll, yeah. Toll, sorry, yeah.
And Harps as well, by the way. Harps as well.
Yeah. And I just think I've watched a bit back of Derry and I thought he's been excellent, you know. And speaking to a couple of Derry City fans as well, they said he's gone. There's no way he's staying. He's too good for the league at his age, in my opinion. I just think he'll be really, really good in this game. It sets up for them nicely, in my opinion, because I think Dundalk are going to go and have a real good go at it. But I just think the quality this season, you know, on any given night, Dundalk turn up and they can beat them 2-3-0. But just the way things have gone this season, it's going to be a tight one. I'm actually going to go a 0-0 draw here, Keith.
I agree with you, actually. I'm going for a draw as well because I still don't trust Dundalk to put back-to-back wins together, to be honest with you. And Derry is still hard to beat. I know Patchin is out, but it'd be huge if Dundalk could do so. But I don't see it personally. Keane, how do you see this one?
I'm going to put my neck on the line here. The two of you are playing it safe. I'm going to go Dundalk to win it. Just after the win, when they've beaten Drogheda, beating Drogheda at home is a great result in this league. But to beat them away from home says an awful lot. He's gone.
Jesus, back fairly quick.
Does anyone know an electrician by any chance, lads?
Come back, I was only messing.
I don't know if anyone was seeing that dodgy light there going on back and forward. If anyone knows an electrician, get on to me. Jesus Christ, the power's going to blow there. What did you call it? What did you call it, Keno?
I'll go for Dundalk to win it.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
I feel like they'll get the result after beating Drogheda. I think it said an awful lot about Dundalk for me to go and beat Drogheda, keep a clean sheet as well. So they'll be looking to back it up now with 3 points. Derry are, it just shows you like Dundalk can leapfrog this, and everyone is commending Derry and how well they're doing, and everyone's giving out about Dundalk. So it puts everything into perspective when you think of it. I'm going to go for Dundalk to win it. I don't think it'll be pretty. I think they'll get ahead. They play on the counter like they've done against Pats, like they've done against Drogheda and stuff. And then I think they'll sit in tight. And I don't see Derry breaking them down if they do sit in tight. So the first goal, look, everyone's going to say the first goal in every game is vital. But I think the first goal in this Pats and Waterford game and this Dundalk game, I think it's going to really set up who wins it or who gets the points.
We know Will Patchin penalty or free kick in this game anyway. And the final game on Saturday, Sligo, Rovers and Bows. I'm actually delighted this is a Saturday and in isolation to the rest of the games, you know, so you can look at it without knowing the result. Big game because obviously Sligo are 2 points behind Pats and Rovers, 5 points out of Bohemians. If Bows were to get a win here, like they really are back in this. Philip, how do you see it though?
To be honest with you, I know Sligo haven't been on a good run of form, but I just think this is a perfect game for them to shut everyone up and respond to it. Like, you know, Bows, as I said, didn't do enough to win the derby, but did with that little bit of quality. And I suppose you can't put all your cards on Georgie Kelly to win you the game every week, because that's not fair on him. And I think that Bows are probably starting to look like a side that need that. They need Kelly to win the game for them every week, and I don't think that'll be the case every week, as good as he is. I am going to say, I'm going to go. Is this in Sligo? Yeah.
Showgrounds. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go Sligo to win it 1-0. It's a very scrappy game, but should be very entertaining.
I have a feeling Sligo kind of need to lay down a marker here, to be honest. 3 games since they've won. They haven't won since they came back. It's the perfect time to do so against a bold side who are kind of on their coattails a little bit. Battling 1-0 win for Sligo for me. Cian?
Good man, Keith. Make me feel a bit better.
He's going to go now, which? No. I think it'll be a draw. I can't see anyone winning it. I think it'll be a draw, and I think both sides will be delighted with a draw against each other. Great point for Bows if they get it. And I've been honest, after the run Sligo are on, to get a point against one of the most informed teams wouldn't be a bad result. So I'm going to say a draw, but I really wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. You know, Bows are coming up there now, full steam ahead to go and win the game. Sligo are looking to put a few results right. It's your key battles in the middle again. You know, it's how can Bows stop Greg Bulger dictating the play and, you know, refereeing the game as such. That's what he does, you know. And I think if anyone could see a team who really focused on it, how Pat's focused on him. He was Sligo's best player, but he didn't really get a look in, which shows how good Pats were. So I think Pat's done it right, and they man-marked him out of the game when we didn't have the ball. I think that's the way to go. People don't realise, and people don't put men on him because he plays so deep, but he dictates everything. Everything is going through him. So it's so important that that stopped the same end. You know, you're looking at Bowes, you're looking at Sligo. Let's not get bullied by Georgie Kelly. You know, Gary Buckley. You know,
he might be back. By the way, he might be back.
Well, he might be back, and he hasn't played in a couple of weeks. You have Georgie Kelly, who can't stop scoring at the minute. I wish he would have done it in a patch shirt. But you know, you're saying, I don't know. I'm just going to say a draw because I'll talk about this all night.
Right, guys, we'll leave it there. That was a bit of a bumper show, preview and review show. Thanks for coming on, guys. Guys, subscribe if you're new. Hit your bell notification button and let us know what you think in the comments and like the video. Cheers, boys.
Thanks.
Brilliant.
Mikey.